Tonight on Free Minds TV, we'll be talking about proposals for conscription, even during times of peace, and even if it has nothing to do with national defense. We'll also be talking about a man who's being freed from prison after 27 years, and just how he reacted to that information. Plus, we'll also be getting into how Google Earth is allowing cities to find people in new and interesting ways. All that and more coming up tonight on Free Minds TV.
Very. It is episode 169 of Free Minds TV, the show that challenges you, the viewer, to think outside the box. With you, as always, is Toby.
And Nick.
All right, Nick, before we get into the topics, and we do have some fine topics for tonight's show, we're going to be getting into file sharing. Army matey pirates out there on the computer deck, illegally downloading things. We're also going to be getting into compulsory service, conscription, as you said, even in times of peace. You don't necessarily need to fight. Maybe you'll just peel potatoes. Dig ditches and such. We'll also be getting into one man's freak out, or possible freak out when he was found out he was innocent after 27 years of being behind bars. They found out he's innocent and decided to keep him in jail just a little bit longer. Those stories. But first, I did want to let everybody know, all the viewers out there, to log on to our website, freemindsmedia.org, and there's hundreds and hundreds of new hours out there. Unless you were already a member, you don't have access to this. But now you do. freemindsmedia.org. All the archives are now available for free. We scrapped the members area. We decided, hey, let's just give it to everyone for free. See where the shows come from, not only from episode 1 back in 2006, I think. We did episode 1 of Free Minds TV.
I was on the show.
Yeah, you came on in around 29.
No, was it?
I think it was in the 20s or 30s.
I thought it was 40s.
Anyways, check out what the show's been like through the years, all the radio archives, even before we were picked up by GCN Radio Network on the big old satellite out there. When we were just a podcast
for a little while.
Yeah, and we have tons and tons of bonus hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of access, 100% free to you for the viewer. Log on to our website, freemindsmedia.org, and if you like it, maybe send us $1 or $2. But anyways, it is free. No more members area. You're all members. I grant you member access. It's under the free stuff tab. All right, Nick, we do need to get into these stories, though, because there are numerous stories we need to talk about. I wanted to talk about one that really irks me. It's talking about national service. Compulsory Service Bill H.R. 5741 is currently being debated on, I think it's the Congress floor.
Yeah, I think it's
if passed, it would require all Americans age 18 all the way up to 42 to report to the government whenever Obama or what other king executor we have in office to report to him and serve him for 2 years.
If he chooses.
If he chooses. He might not choose. He might only want the 20 to 25-year-olds. But he has the whole gamut all the way to 18 to 42. He can decide whatever service he'd like, be it AmeriCorps or Peace Corps, ditch digging or potato peeling, or maybe even going and shooting brown people in foreign lands. Yes, if... That's who we fight now, Nick.
No, I know.
Oh, you look
I was
like
going to point out that he already could do that.
Oh, yeah.
I think
but not all the way up to 42. I thought there was a cutoff of like 35.
No, it was like 35.
Yeah.
And I think Congress had to, well, maybe not. No, I still thought there'd be legislation
if they
involved
declared
in
war.
wartime draft. Right, war powers, but I don't think in a time of peace. But what this is, I mean, you're talking about the executive branch being able to force you to work. Not even for national defense. Isn't this what the Soviet Union did and the Nazis? I mean, is it not tyranny if you're forced to work at a particular location for 2 years?
But Nick, we need
as long as
to
it's
work
not guard
in
towers?
order to protect our freedoms. We need everybody to serve the government. To show them how free we are, you need to become a slave to the government for a couple of years to prove we're free. Don't you get it? Don't you understand?
At what point does it? I mean, at what point is it slave labor? At what point is it a gulag? Does there have to be barbed wire?
They'll pay you.
What's the difference between a model like that and a model like the Soviet Union?
Well, Nick,
is it the barbed wire? Is it the machine guns?
Let me tell you, I've got it, Nick. It's going to be served as a way to provide a college education to even the less fortunate out there. Because this is how they work, these programs, and I've done it some. I actually did this.
This is initially how it's going to work.
This is initially how it's going to get
barbed
through.
Wire.
This is not going to be for all the 42-year-olds or 35-year-olds. The way it's going to work is it's going to be marketed as a way to help people pay for college. You don't need to go fight for your country in order to pay for college anymore. Just sign up for AmeriCorps for a couple of years, and we'll give you $5,000 per year to pay for your college tuition. See, isn't it great? The federal government, you're serving your country, feeling proud as an American, and they're paying for your education to last you for your entire eternity as living as a free person. Nick, don't you understand how great that is?
Well, if that was the intention of this legislation, why wouldn't they just write it up in a way that said, approve, they would appropriate money, $5,000, $10,000, whatever amount of tuition assistance per year would be made available to any American age 18 to 42 that wanted to serve. But they want the ability to compel service by law.
I love how this is
Either
worded.
you go to the work camp or you go to the prison camp. That's a hell of a choice. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, they say actually, under this new legislation, nearly all able-bodied Americans will be sentenced to 2 years of labor. Sentenced.
It's what it is. It's not funny at all.
Oh, you think this will go through? I don't think this is not for another.
At some point, it might.
Hopefully, I'm 42.
It might go through in that kind of half-assed, we'll give you money for college way first, and then they just make it a law.
Well, either way.
They do it with selective service.
Yeah,
it's a law.
I signed up. I'm selective service certified.
I signed up for the selective service too.
But I don't think I'd serve. Oh, shoot. Last week we were talking about the FBI serving these papers when I say I wouldn't serve and stuff.
I don't think that's an issue until you're actually drafted. As long as you're registered, you're fine.
I can toot my own horn and,
You can actually well, if there was ever an actual draft, you can go before the draft board and try to claim conscientious objector.
They wouldn't let my dad do that, so he put poison ivy in his boots. And he walked around and he got poison ivy all over his feet, and so they tried to sign him up to go fight in Vietnam, and he had poison ivy feet. They just told him to come back in the winter, and he froze the poison ivy in the freezer for wintertime.
Yeah, well,
then they sent him to Ecuador for a couple of years in the Peace Corps.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to offer non-armed service as an alternative as opposed to just prison time. But
well, first they sent him to jail, I think.
Yeah, they did that. But I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Just because you live in the U.S., not because they think we're going to get invaded by the communists.
Oh, is that what it's for? Communism? Today
that was the idea.
Terrorism.
Yeah, well, that wasn't
freedom.
Really, Vietnam wasn't really a threat, but that was the idea.
Freedom, Nick. Don't you care about freedom? Stars and stripes.
Yeah. Apparently, believing in freedom it includes supporting slave labor.
If you live in America, every able-bodied American should serve their country. Isn't that what they do in Israel? 2 years. 18,
yeah, I hardly
2
call
years,
Israel
you get a
rifle.
But doesn't America like Israel? A whole way of life. We give them billions of dollars a year.
The U.S. government supports the Israeli government. The
U.S.
government has supported
several
brutal dictatorships around the world. I don't think that necessarily means anything.
Whatever. It's all for the government, Nick. All for your freedom, my freedom, everybody's freedom. We all got to work for the government.
Destroy freedom to defend it.
Would that work if everybody worked for the government? How would that work? I try to do the math in my mind. Like,
in theory,
how
the
many
Soviet Union
bureaucrats
kind of did, sort of. Because I mean, even the business, even the farms and the factories were state-run. Yeah, it was a great place to live, wasn't it? Yeah. Wonderful cars they made. Great standard of living.
Oh yeah.
It's not like they executed a lot of their own people either.
Everyone had so much money, Nick.
Yeah.
Wheelbarrows.
And you didn't have to wait to get basic food items either.
Well, they did have lots of money though. There was
they had lots of
wheelbarrows full of money.
No, I think you're thinking of that's after Weimar Germany.
Was that after?
Yeah,
I've seen a picture of someone with so much money. I was like, man,
yeah, it was probably Weimar Germany.
He's rich, Nick. He's got wheelbarrow full of money.
Yeah, they were burning it as fuel.
Oh well.
That gets back to inflation. That doesn't have as much to do with conscription.
Yeah, it's all screwed up. Moving right along to something that's a little more. Well, I guess they're both kind of Big Brother-esque. But something that's
much less creepy.
Something that's on the private market. Everybody that's the deal here, Nick. We've got these people who hate the show because we're small government, not no government. All these anarchists out there think that we should be no government, no government, no government because the private sector is so much better. Look at what it's done. I mean, Google, for example, that's a private sector, but it's reeks of Big Brother.
They've compiled a lot of information.
And pictures.
The difference between Google and, say, the CIA is that Google doesn't have people who go around and kill you for political reasons, or for any reason, really.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean, at least you can use a competing search engine if you want to. I mean, Google's not a monopoly, but pretty big market share. This has to do with Google Earth. And this is creeping a lot of people out now with the new features it has. I've heard a lot of people talk about this. specifically coming from Riverhead, New York, which I guess is on Long Island. Because of their backyard, some Long Islanders are in hot water because of their backyard pools. The town of Riverhead, New York is using Google Earth to find pools that don't have the proper permits. Officials say satellite images revealed about 250 pools whose owners never filled out the required paperwork. Violators have paid a total of about $75,000 in fees.
For just 250 pools? That's a lot of money, Nick.
But some privacy advocates say the use of Google Earth to find swimming pools reeks of Big Brother.
Well, it's not like the government didn't have this technology before Google had it.
Well,
they've had this technology for a while.
And let's be fair, I guess. Not that I want to take Big Brother's side on this, but it's in the public view. I mean, if there was a big enough hill around, a cop or a zoning enforcement person could go up to the top and look over town. If they go up in a hot air balloon, is that snooping?
But Nick,
I mean,
I don't
it's just that
like
Google Earth covers the entire world.
I don't like it. You know, I was on Google Earth.
Sort of hide.
After I got this story, I decided to check out what Google Earth is like. I downloaded the software, and man, it is amazing nowadays. I used it back in about 5 years ago or something, but nowadays, man, you can see so much stuff. It's 3D now. You can jump onto the view. You can see my house. Everything is there. Everything.
Yeah,
really
you can
amazing.
jump onto the street and look at the side of your house, around your yard.
Absolutely, and you can look
creepy.
at pictures. Yeah, wow.
It used to just be like these big. It was like being in a plane, and you could get down kind of close, and they get blurry.
Yeah, Google Earth freak. You can even
And
go
then
to
they had
Mars.
Street
You can go to
Viewer.
space. You can go to Mars.
Well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I mean, that's cool. But
That's a feature I liked. Anyways,
maybe when there's people on Mars, so worry about that.
when Google Earth meets government, people get fined for swimming pools, I guess is the moral of the story.
Yeah.
So that's what all the anarchists have said. They say Google would be fine if it wasn't for the government getting involved.
Well, I guess you
as
wouldn't have
well.
the government involved, though, because you wouldn't need permits for the pools. So
Don't
in
need
this
any
particular
permits for
case,
pools. Well,
you know, you could just build a swimming pool on your own property.
you got me there, anarchists.
I don't think we really need the government to tell us whether we can build a swimming pool.
I guess no government then.
That's not what it's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, you know, they'd argue. You know, there's an argument there.
Arguments. I know. I
I
read
guess-
an article, Nick. It's I should have brought it in, but it's got so lengthy into this psycho mumbo jumble of psychology. It's talking about there's a lot of people out there when they're presented with facts that disagree with their worldview. So say you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, and I'm giving you facts about that will persuade your worldview away from what you think, away from your ideology. Every fact I give you, even though it could be concrete, real fact, won't convince you of my right opinion. In fact, it'll solidify your wrong opinion. So facts, for a lot of people out there, have the opposite effect they should. Logic doesn't work on people. Interesting.
A lot of people aren't very logical. I mean, I think we can figure that out.
But don't you think? I
so
mean,
how many
this
people
is.
do you think we're pushing away from us whenever
Well,
we
that's
do
the
this show?
thing. We need to do a new. After I was saying that, I'm like, well, we present lots of facts on this show. We need to sway away from those facts if we really want people to realize
Well,
that they're
some people don't respond to facts.
right. That's the
point of
thing.
article.
That's the
Some
point of the
people
article.
do.
Some people do, but
Usually-
a great majority of them don't, Nick. So many of them, where every time we say something on this show that makes sense for them, instead of being like, oh yeah, that's right, that does make a little sense, they go, no, that is wrong. I do not like to shut it off. I am even more socialist than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
How many-
Well, what the hell are we supposed to do? I mean,
Well, I got a plan, Nick. It's going to be all fear and emotion from here on out.
like the rest of the media.
Might as well. It works for them. They got a giant political party. They're making billions of dollars. Why not?
I don't. It seems like I would rather appeal to people on reason.
You're preaching to the choir, Nick.
Doesn't it seem like the rational people who do make decisions based on the facts about the world around them, they're probably the ones who are in a position to make more change, maybe, you know.
No, Nick. No, I don't.
Don't
I
you
think
think?
because when you have a majority of people who are based primarily on emotion is what drives their behavior, not fact. When you have people who are in all their
Right,
emotions.
but most people don't actually engage on issues of government.
Yes, but
or
Nick,
social change.
we live in a democracy. So when you have a majority of people out there being driven by emotion, that means they're going to elect people who appeal to their emotion, not to their logical point of view that doesn't exist.
That's pretty obvious.
So, well, it says that this entire freedom movement is in the wrong direction. Everything I listen to is fact. It's got to be emotion, scare tactic, emotion.
Well, I mean,
so when we come back, we are going to be talking about the end of the world.
Doesn't have
Gloom
to be,
and gloom.
It doesn't have to be one or the other. You know, you can appeal with facts and emotion.
All right. Well,
you don't have to lie or anything.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to be lying.
No, we are going to be talking about file sharing, Nick, and pirates out there behind all their computers. A lot of people are watching this on a computer while they're illegally downloading things on the next screen or tab or whatever, however it works. We'll be getting into that and a whole lot more. Stay tuned. This is Free Minds TV.
This is Will Buchanan. I walked 3,200 miles across the country to move to New Hampshire for liberty, and you're watching Free Minds TV.
And welcome back to Free Minds TV. It still is Toby here with you.
And Nick.
All right, Nick, I decided I don't know how to appeal to the emotions out there, so I gave up on that. Remember before I said we were going to change the format of the show, appeal to emotion instead. I'll still get emotional and stuff, don't worry, folks.
You're the emotional one.
I'm the emotional one, but I don't think I'm appealing to people out there, at least changing the hearts and minds of America.
I get to be very serious.
Very serious. Well, let's talk seriously. Let's talk seriously about file sharing, Nick, and what the federal government's going to do. A new bill has come out that really is going to put some of you on edge, at least if you are in college and on a university campus using their internets that you may be paying for. But you know what now? You pay for an extra service. Not only when you go to college do you pay for the internet and get the internet, but you also pay for the university system to police the internet. That is because the federal government is clamping down on illegal file sharing on college campuses with a new act that threatens a loss of federal funding for schools that fail to adequately monitor illegal downloads. Under the Higher Education Opportunity Act, the opportunities are tremendous, which went into effect on July 1st. All institutions of higher education that receive funding from the feds must do all they can to stop illegal file sharing or lose their funding. Yes, Nick?
This is a problem with funding. When you get this federal funding, whether it's for education, on the university level or in the high school, I mean, you know, the public school system, yeah, you get the federal money, but then there are all these strings attached, and it forces the school system or the university system to spend, in many cases, far more money than they actually get from the federal government. And a lot of the spending at your local school district, at least where we are here in Keene, I've heard that as much as half or more of the school district budget is mandated by federal law.
Mandated
or
but
by
not paid for.
Strings attached. Right.
Now that's the problem. They have all sorts of unfunded mandates, but then they get a little bit of money for it. So since there's all these unfunded mandates, they need all they can possibly get. Now, here's my problem with this. I find it sick that the federal government is doing the work of the music industry or the movie industry, or whatever it is, Nick. This is what's annoying to me about this whole thing, is the movie and music industry has an issue. They have an issue of people copying their music and sharing it.
They have an issue that their business model is outdated.
Yeah, it's very outdated. They're all old and they can't figure it out. And so instead of figuring it out themselves, they've decided to enlist the federal government, being paid by you and me and you and me and all of us, to go after these people to make them billions and billions and billions and billions of more dollars. We are not talking about a system that's going after people for illegal downloads or illegal file sharing and arresting them. We're talking about a system that's enabling the federal government to go after these people on behalf of the IRAA or the MPAA or the music recording industry or the movie industry in order for them to give you a civil lawsuit. As far as I knew, Nick, the government was responsible for going after people for criminal things, and then I could bring you to court if there's a civil action. I mean, why is the government helping this place make the monies?
Right. Well, there have also been laws passed that they're trying to make this a criminal issue as well, but it's really a civil issue.
So that means it's the job of the RIAA or the MPA.
Exactly. If it's a civil action, and this is really a civil issue, if what you're talking about here is illegal downloading, basically copyright infringement,
there's a federal issue, and then they could press criminal charges. I get that.
Number one, I don't see how it's a federal issue. Maybe if it's crossing state lines.
Yeah.
If it's crossing state lines.
Okay. So I can share from me to you?
If the server's in New Hampshire and I'm downloading in New Hampshire, I don't see how it's a federal issue. 99.99% of the time, that's not happening.
Right.
Where it is, I don't think it's a federal issue. And even where it is happening, yes, you're right. I mean, it's a civil matter, which means that the RIAA, I have trouble saying that, or the MPAA, either any of these industry groups, if they think they have a case against an individual who's illegally downloading, because they need to go out and build that case for themselves. The government doesn't go around on behalf of particular industries and build civil cases against individual citizens out there. The government provides a court system that mediates disputes in civil matters. That's all that should be involved. As far as the civil court system goes, and that's one of the few things I think government should provide, there's supposed to be a referee.
Yeah.
They're supposed to decide
you want to bring charges
whether
against
a
me,
wrong
you
has
bring
been
them.
done.
And you know what? It's so amazing out there that it boggles my mind that millions of people are doing this. Millions. Probably 95% of young people have done this. But the way it works out,
90 plus for people under the age of 30.
right? And the way it works out is, say a youngster downloads 5,000 songs in their youngster days. Well, instead of just being hit with some kind of a fine, like, I don't know, now you owe us $3,000, we're going to take you to court and get this $3,000 on you. No, the federal government said, what? It's hundreds of thousands of dollars per song that you downloaded that you're responsible for. So they're going to sue you for millions of dollars. If you want to take it to court, okay, you lose. You're going to owe us millions of dollars. Or you can settle out of court for $5,000. So even if you are 100% innocent, say someone else was illegally hacked onto your network and used your internet to download illegal things, or the files you downloaded were perfectly legit, you're just being accused wrongly, you downloaded songs that weren't infringing copyrights. Well, the MPAA or RIAA still say, well, we're going to bring you to court. You want to fight this? You lose, you're going to face $20 million. Your life is over. Or you could just pay us $3,000. And the federal government is complicit in helping them do this. That's wrong, Nick.
Yeah,
and they're pressuring university systems to do the same. And now it's going to cost more for people to go to college because now they have to monitor every single download that's happening on the campus. All they can do to stop it.
Yeah, I think you can have a very healthy debate about whether downloading copyright material is really stealing. I think there's a very good argument you can make that intellectual property
sounds like it would be more than borrowing, because stealing is like, this is here.
Right.
No, it's not.
You're just making
it's
a
not
digital
here.
copy.
If I was like, this is here, and it's also here.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how like a trademark, like putting somebody else's business name or branding, I can see how that's stealing because it's basically fraud to use somebody else's trademark. You're passing your product off as somebody else's.
Right.
But with copyright, all you're doing is you're making a copy of a recording.
Yeah, not only
is that stealing
check
it?
This out,
and is it worth hundreds of thousands of dollars per offense? Or is it worth maybe, I mean, what's the wrong that's
It would have cost me $1 on iTunes. You got it for free. You didn't actually hurt me by doing that. You didn't actually take something away from me. It would have cost you $1. But now I'm going to sue you for $100,000?
Yeah, I mean, even if you...
Why is it so much worse, Nick, to copy a song than it is to steal a pack of gum? Or even rob a bank in some instances. The fines generated for robbing a bank would be less expensive than copying a song illegally. Crazy.
Yeah.
I could rob a bank and then...
Even if you're going to make the argument, even if you do believe in intellectual property and copyright law, and you're going to make the argument that artists are harmed by it and whatever...
then make it reasonable.
Make it $20 a song. Okay, if you catch me, I got to pay 20 times as much. 50 times as much? 100?
1,000 even.
$100 a song.
1,000 times as much would still be good. But no, they're going for hundreds of thousands of times.
I don't know if a lot of people have 1,000 songs, $1 million. I don't think downloading 1,000 songs is worth $1 million in penalties.
Well, okay, well, that's true, but check this out. The iPods that are invented, and not just the ones who can hold video, but the iPods, they're gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes, and all the MP3 players that are used to hold this music. Big, lots of space. In order to legally pay for that music and get it legally, it would cost tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. In some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a youngster to fill up his iPod or other MP3 player device with legal music.
And no young person is going to do that.
Right, yet they're selling them and people are filling them up, Nick. It's interesting out there. I mean, you're marketing something that is essentially pushing people to do illegal things, which I think that should be legal, but it is interesting to think about how, in a lot of cases, these companies are even connected. of selling these devices that are pretty
There's
much
probably-
made to hold illegal stuff. And
I
then
would be willing
suing
to
you on
bet
the
that
other
there
hand.
are more bongs that are used legally for tobacco products than there are iPods and MP3 players that don't have any
that's
copyright
true.
material.
I
would say that it's paraphernalia or criminal devices like, I don't know, lockpicking tools. I say you could make a much better case that a higher percentage of iPods and MP3 players are used in the commission of a crime, more so than lockpicking sets, which some people get as a novelty, or bongs, which some people really do use for tobacco.
A couple. Hey, real quick, I did want to point out for all those people who are like, I never break a law, I never break out any federal laws. Has your grandson or daughter used your internet lately? Old lady, chances are you could be in hot water. Anyways, Nick, we did promise a story about the freakout man who's released innocent. We only have a couple minutes. We're running out of time with all these segments. We got to talk about him real quick. So sorry about the slobby segue, but you've got 2 minutes to tell us about the man who's innocent.
Yes.
He's out. He's free.
Yes. He went to prison at just 18 years old, and Michael Green will be 44 years old when he finally walks out of prison a free man. Green spent 27 years behind bars for a crime that he did not commit. He was convicted of sexual assault, DNA evidence that was not available at the time the verdict was given. It exonerated him and pinned 4 other likely suspects. He was sentenced to 75 years, but I guess he was up for parole in a couple months. He's been in for 27 years, so he probably would have gotten out anyway. And they're trying to keep him in prison because apparently he reacted very emotionally to the news that they were finally going to recognize that he was innocent and they were going to let him out after stealing 27 years of his life. I think I'd be pretty pissed off too. So they're keeping him in prison because he's so pissed off about them having wrongfully imprisoned him for nearly 3 decades that they can't let him out because he's a danger to society or himself or whatever BS.
Yeah, his family's not very happy about that. They were real upset.
They
said
kept him
he's
for
innocent, let him
27
go.
years.
And a day. Because they had to keep him in there for that extra day just to be like, you're innocent, but you're still behind bars. Ha ha ha. But anyways, the good news is, updated, he's out, he's freed. The bad news is, they do know the men who committed these rapes. They found semen and stuff from the rape, and the statute of limitations out. So they'll go free. This man wasted his life. Sad, sad. Well, there are some issues in the justice system.
I'd probably be trying to kill him.
Yeah, there's some issues in the justice system out there. It's not all perfect. Who knew, Nick? Who knew? Anyways, we're out of time this week. We'd love to hear from you, though. fmtv@freemindsmedia.org is the email address. Easier way, freemindsmedia.com. From there, there's a contact link, plus free stuff link. Go to it. Click on it. Get all millions, well, not millions, hundreds of hours of bonus content. Until next week, it has been Toby here with you.
And Nick.
Have a good one.